has been a really rough ride as of late for Henry Cavill. First, he announced, well, a couple of months back, he announced he was coming back. A couple of months, like last month or something. So he announced he was coming back as Superman, only to be told he's not going to be Superman anymore because, James Gunn and Peter Safran want to do their own thing. So he's out as Superman. But now we find out that he is actually getting, he's going to be executive producing and starring in Warhammer 40,000 series. It says here from the Hollywood Reporter, Henry Cavill's next play, Warhammer 40,000 series for Amazon. Apparently he's going to be starring in it and executive producing it. I am not really all that familiar with Warhammer. I know a little bit about it, but I'm not really all that familiar with it. But apparently Henry Cavill is a big fan. He really wants to do it, and he plans to do it the correct way. I'm just a little hesitant because it's Amazon, and you know how that could go. But he says he wants to give it a shot. Okay, no problem. Now, prior to all of this, Henry Cavill left The Witcher. There were all sorts of stuff saying that, he left because he wanted to do Superman and all of this thing and the other. Personally, I think he left because the show was just total crap. It's not doing what it was supposed to do. It's not living up to what it meant to be. It was supposed to be The Witcher about Geralt of Rivia, not some intersectional feminist thing about Yennefer and God alone knows who else and all this other crap, and her and a coven of diverse witchy friends and all of that. But there is The Witcher Blood Origin, which is supposed to come out later this month, and it's not doing so good on when you look at Rotten Tomato. The critics have only given it a 38%. There's no audience score yet because it hasn't come out as yet. I don't think, but some people have seen these critics are usually the ones who love everything. But here you have The Witcher Blood Origin, which is ticking a lot of boxes. It's led by a woman, has a diverse cast, and all this other nonsense, and it's not doing so well when it comes to the critics. Maybe because people are finally starting to realize just because you try to make a show diverse and inclusive and all that other pandering crap doesn't mean it's going to be good. So its Rotten Tomatoes score when it comes to the critics is at 38%. That may rise, may not rise, I don't know, but it's not looking good. Now, let me just touch on one other thing before I get into what I actually came about. A while back, the X-Men 97 head writer, Bo DeMaio, he worked on The Witcher also, and he made this statement. Bo DeMaio recalls some writers on Netflix, The Witcher, actively mocked the source materials. Says this mindset is a recipe for disaster and bad morale. Now, anybody who's looked at The Witcher knows that these people who were writing it clearly weren't fans of it, clearly didn't like it, and they were doing everything possible to just undermine Geralt and, push their whole feminist agenda crap and just destroy the show. That's what they were doing. The second season was just terrible. The first season I thought to myself, well, this isn't really seeming all that sensible. The second season I was like, oh god, no. I don't even know if I honestly don't even know if I may actually watch the third season. I really can't say at this point. But with Henry Cavill having left The Witcher now, we get some information. I want you to take this information with a grain of salt, because it's coming from someone who is apparently they say that they're an insider The Witcher stuff, and they've come out with some very scathing remarks and so-called behind-the-scene things in regard to Henry Cavill. So let's get into this. Let's get into this, because it's going to be a doozy. I'm going to read through exactly what this so-called insider has said, and I'll give my comments as I go along. This is where it starts. So, I recently got this message and somebody was like, do you want to know what really went down? And I was like, sure. So let me just read it. It says, at the beginning of the show, Henry was good to work with. A lot of unusual demands that made people feel like he wasn't really a team player, but that's not unusual for a big star. Okay, so you start off saying have a lot of unusual demands. You don't say what those demands are. You feel like he wasn't a team player, but that's not unusual for a big star. So he had unusual demands that weren't unusual. Okay, let me continue. Though in TV, it truly usually doesn't happen until the second season. Okay, so there's a time frame where you're supposed to ask for stuff. Apparently, that's it. Now, we don't know what these unusual demands are. Maybe he wanted tea instead of coffee. We don't know. Maybe he asked for a certain brand of coffee. Maybe he says, he only drinks this brand of coffee. And they were like, well, everybody else drinks this, so he's making unusual demands. We don't know what it is. We don't know. But, okay. But in season 2 and 3, something shifted. And he became really impossible for women to work with. Okay, here we go. Here we go. In season 2 and 3, something shifted and he became really impossible for women to work with. Because apparently there were only women working on the show. Right? We don't know, but apparently there were only women working on this show. And he became impossible to work with for the women. Right? Okay. Which is always a big problem. Yeah, I bet it is. But even worse here, because the showrunner is a woman. Now keep in mind, this is the same showrunner who a little while ago was begging people to watch The Witcher after season 3. I thought about doing a video on that, but I was like, oh my god, this is really too pathetic even for me. She was pretty much begging people to stick around because people wanted to leave. There's even a petition out right now to fire the writers and bring back Henry Cavill to The Witcher. And it's almost reached 300,000 signatures. So, people are clearly pissed, but no, this is our problem. Let's go on. He would try to overrule her and try to get changes made last minute across the board without her knowledge. Now, there are two things about that makes no sense. One, the showrunner is the one in charge. How would he try to overrule her and try to get changes made last minute across the board without her knowledge? She has to sign off on everything. The showrunner signs off on it, so he can't just say, well, okay, I'm just going to do this without telling you, and it's supposed to just be canon. That doesn't make sense. Secondly, what are these changes he was trying to do? Because Henry Cavill is a fan of The Witcher. This was a dream job for him, getting to play Geralt of Rivia. He knows the source material. He wants to stay true to the source material. You all didn't. So was he trying to get actual stories across, actual things across that would have actually made the show good? And that was our problem? Once again, we don't know. Let's continue. Which, if you know anything about showrunning, is completely effed. The showrunner has to sign off on every minuscule detail down to the buttons on a costume. So then how was he trying to get it across from her without her knowledge? It clearly wouldn't. You've literally contradicted yourself here by saying that the showrunner has to sign off on everything, yet somehow he was trying to do this. Here we go on again. Female writers and directors were suddenly completely ignored on set, unable to do their jobs. Every department head was complaining. He started making comments. It wasn't a sexual thing. He wasn't grabbing anyone or being lewd, but it was disrespectful and toxic all the same. What are these comments? We don't know. But remember, people, he was making comments. Understand me? These comments weren't a sexual thing. He wasn't grabbing anyone or being lewd, but apparently these comments were so disrespectful and toxic. We don't know what these comments are. You haven't said what these comments are. You clearly have not said what these comments are. But apparently these comments, right, were so awful, so horrifying, so disrespectful and toxic. Because apparently if he said, I don't think Gerald would do this, that's a comment and it's disrespectful and toxic. I mean, let's just be honest at this point, people. Clearly it's a woman writing this. Clearly. Let's be honest at this point, clearly. Let me go on. Huh? He's deeply addicted to video games. Everybody knows Henry Cavill is a gamer. What are you even trying here? To the point where it was like working with any other addict. Oh my God, so now he's a junkie. Henry Cavill is a junkie. Apparently he was on set wrapping a game controller cord around his arm, then, tapping to get a vein so he could shoot up with the latest hit drug on the market. World of Warcraft, it'll send you to a whole new world. He was like, he was on the set like, okay, look, I understand, I gotta film the other scene, man, but I need a fix, man. I need a fix of that World of Warcraft, man. I'm hurting bad here, man. I'm hurting real bad. I need a fix, man. I mean, what exactly was he doing? Meeting people behind the studio set who dressed in long trench coats, and they were like handing him video games, and he was giving them money, and he would go into a trailer and be there for hours. Like, they would be like, Mr. Cavill, we're ready to shoot. I'm playing video games, damn it, I'll come on when I'm done. I mean, what? You literally trying to say the man was an addict because he plays video games? Holy crap, boy. Yeah. He was distracted, he was late, he was obsessive. Okay, hold on a second. How could he be distracted and obsessive at the same time? And to top it off, if he was late, how would you know he was distracted and obsessive? He wouldn't be there for you to know. So, I don't understand the reasoning of that. And keep in mind, I have never heard any of this in regards to Henry Cavill. I've never heard anybody talk about anything saying he's done any of this on any sets he's worked on. Anything like that. I haven't heard anything like that at all. And a lot of people think that the misogyny... Okay, so they were skating the lines before of not wanting to full out call him a misogynist. Right? They were skating the lines because, keep in mind, right, he became really impossible for women to work with. You understand me? He was making comments. To be terrible, horrible comments. We don't know what these comments are, but what we do know is that it wasn't a sexual thing. He wasn't grabbing anyone or being lewd. But it was apparently disrespectful and toxic. And not to mention, he's apparently some kind of video game addict junkie who needs a fix every 10 to 15 minutes to keep working or something like that, right? But they were skating the line with all that. But no, apparently, he's a misogynist, right? And a lot of people think that the misogyny came from Gamer World. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so you try to tell me because he played video games, he's now a misogynist. Video game bro language is not how you talk to co-workers. And he wouldn't stop. So, wait, what is video game bro language? So what, did he call somebody bro? I mean, how dare he? How dare Henry Cavill refer to anybody as bro? You understand me? How dare he do that? Bro! That is offensive, sir. Bro, that is the same, if not worse, as referring to somebody as he or she, because that's misgendering or mispronouncing or whatever the flick. I can't even joke about that crap. That's so stupid, honestly. But apparently he used video game bro language. So what if he talks to someone and say, hey bro, how's this going on? That's offensive now. Christ almighty. And he wouldn't stop. So apparently he was supposed to walk around and said, hello miss, yes ma'am, thank you ma'am, sorry miss, thank you ma'am, I'm sorry ma'am. That's what he was supposed to do. But apparently because he was friendly with some people and like, hey bro, what's going on and all this going on, that's offensive, and he wouldn't stop. Someone on the show compared it to watching Get Brainwashed by Cunan. Oh my God, woman, no! Wow! Like his whole personality shifted. Eventually, his disrespect escalated. How could it get worse? You've literally, this first part alone, you've literally made him out to be some sort of misogynist psychopath. That's what you made him out to be. How could this possibly get worse? I genuinely want to know at this point. Let's see what happens. He would rewrite scenes without even alerting the other actors in the scenes until it was time to shoot. Wait. How in God's name would he rewrite scenes without even alerting the other actors in the scenes until it was time to shoot? Every actor has a specific script for themselves on what they have to say, what they have to do, and the other. Yes, they have scripts on what the other actors and things will be doing, but they have their specific lines. If he's rewriting scripts and rewriting lines and all that kind of thing, he would literally, I mean, let's keep in mind that there are dozens of people on this set, and there's a certain amount of time between that he'd have to run to every person, secretly get their scripts, rewrite it and put it back there and go back. I mean, he literally have to be Superman. He literally have to be Superman to do all of that, and still, listen to me, he's doing all of this rewriting and all of this problems and all of this thing, but somehow he's still finding time to feed his video game addiction. Henry Cavill apparently is absolutely amazing. Let's continue with this nonsense. He decided that he didn't want any romantic scenes at all. No kissing, no shirtless scenes, etc. Well, apparently he doesn't want to be objectified. Now keep in mind, I don't believe any of this nonsense at all. I don't believe this at all. But he apparently doesn't want to be objectified as a piece of meat. But let's say for instance Henry Cavill was a woman, Henrietta Cavill or whatever the hell, let's say with that. And she had put this out there. They would be, and a male director was saying to her, you know what, sweetheart, we need the topless scene. We need that. She's like, no, I can't do that. I'm not a piece of meat. I don't want to be objectified. And keep in mind that some actors are objectified to a certain extent. It's part of, the craft. People see these people, it's part of it. But and let's say, if it was a woman saying this, they would be up in that all the thing and saying, woman power, she's not a piece of meat, she shouldn't be objectified. But no, if Henry Cavill, and this is a big freaking if Henry Cavill had said that, he didn't want no shirtless scenes, he didn't want to be a piece of meat, he wanted to just be Geralt of Rivia and do things. No, that's a problem now. The same way in Thor Love and Thunder, they were perfectly happy to snap Thor's clothes away and have his slightly blurry naked ass out for the world. Let them have done that to Jane Foster or Valkyrie, they would be petitioning outside MCU studios all now. But no, because Henry Cavill doesn't want to be seen as a piece of meat and want to be an actual actor, that's a problem. He wanted complete control of storylines, but really had no idea of the limitations of TV, structure, budget, etc. Alright, so he wanted complete control of the storylines. He knows The Witcher. He's a fan of The Witcher. He knows what to do with The Witcher. Let's take for a moment. In season 2, when his horse Roach died, right? Report came out that the showrunner, I think it's Lauren Histridge is the name or something so, had this scene where he was supposed to play it off as some kind of joke or something like that, and Henry Cavill went to her and said, listen, this is not really how this scene would go, it's not really how Geralt would deal with it, and she was like, okay, Henry, you know better than me, you do what you have to do. And he wrote a script for something that he said after Roach, and it was one of the most heartwarming and heart-wrenching and best scenes of season 2. So he had some idea of what needs to be happening, and they weren't listening, because let's not forget, X-Men 97 head writer Bo DeMaio, who worked on The Witcher, said that some of the writers on The Witcher actively mocked the source materials. They really didn't care. They really didn't care. That's one. And next, he really had no idea of the limitations of TV structure, budget, etc. Limitations of TV structure, budget. Let's keep in mind though that Amazon reportedly spent $1 billion on Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and it looks like shit. That's what they spent all that money on it, and it looks like absolute and utter tatter. Maybe if they had spent some actual money on Netflix's The Witcher, instead of trying to push your intersexual feminism bullshit, that might have actually been good. But no, we got all the woke garbage you could fit into a show in Amazon Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power crap, or should I just call it Lord of the Rings, right? They spent $1 billion on it. It looks like garbage and has not been and has not received one award notification for anything, because it's just crap. Let's continue. He formed a weird alliance with one writer who was also a gamer. Okay, so now the addicts are grouping up, apparently. That's what the writers say. The addicts are grouping up. Who eventually got fired after multiple HR complaints were made. Where are these complaints? What are these multiple HR complaints? What were they doing? Playing video games and somehow enjoying themselves, and that's a problem? We don't know. You're making things, you're not saying anything about it at all. And after that writer left, Henry did anything he could to hold up production and cause problems. Again, I've never heard any of this. Eventually, top brass at Netflix was tired of him costing them money with delays in HR investigations, and the showrunner was asked to construct a potential exit for him. That is crap. I totally don't believe that one. Netflix reached out to him personally, and he was given one final warning and violated that warning with an email he sent to the entire writing staff right after that meeting. That was it. Now let me make this clear, a few things here. While I would say that there are certain things in this I would be willing to believe, and the only thing I would be willing to believe is that Henry Cavill had inputs about The Witcher that were ignored. He had inputs about The Witcher that were ignored. Yes, he's a human being. He has flaws and that. He may have certain things that he may want or other, But like they said, he had unusual demands at work. I think we don't know what these unusual demands are. But then I said, it's not unusual for a big star. He's a big star. If he has certain things that he needs in order to get himself ready to go, okay. But the rest of this reads like some kind of weird feminist rant about some man who didn't want to know his place. That's what it is. All we've heard in this entire wickedly done nonsense is apparently Henry Cavill is an enemy to women because why? He had an opinion in his mind. He had comments. He had it set in his mind that he wanted to play actual Geralt of Rivia and not be a flicking sounding board while you pushed Yennefer and Ciri and the rest of them forward. And that made him a problem. Because he liked video games, that was also a thing. He made comments, horrible comments that apparently weren't sexual. He wasn't grabbing anyone. He wasn't doing anything lewd, but no, these comments were so disrespectful and toxic because they were comments. And not only that, he was apparently also some kind of video game junkie who needed a fix every 10 minutes. This is absolute and utter ridiculous bullshit and shows the kind of behavior these people have. If someone does not fall in line with you, they come out and do a smear campaign. Clearly this person got some pointers from Frost on what to do and put out this garbage out here. This is it. So, Blood Origins is in the toilet according to the critics who apparently love everything, even they hate it. You understand me? Former head writer, head writer at X-Men 97 and former writer for The Witcher came out and actually admitted that these people openly mocked and disliked The Witcher. And now we have this crap coming out here that, trying to smear Henry Cavill as the worst scum to walk the face of the earth in order for them to save face. Let me know your thoughts on this absolute and utter ridiculous crap. If you have a different opinion, I'd be happy to hear it. Leave it in the comments because I know that's a problem now. If you like the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell. Be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.